I bet you didn't know the air could hang so heavy." Silence followed. Dust motes danced. They moved. The house creaked. A shiver traced its way down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It started subtly, a prickling at the back of my neck. As the sun dipped, the sensation intensified. Faces in old photographs stared back at me. Their eyes held a mixture of emotions, a flicker of something cold and unknowable. It was as if they were trying to warn me. The air grew heavy, oppressive. The silence pressed in on me. I felt a presence, unseen but undeniable. Then, a whisper.
The last bell had long since faded into the quiet hum of the school's fluorescent lights. Jason spun a pencil, the rhythmic tap-tap-tap a counterpoint to the silence. The empty classroom seemed to hold its breath.
Mia traced a line of text, her brow furrowed in concentration. The fading light cast long shadows across the room. "You ever hear of the shadow?"
"You mean that creepy janitor story?" Jason chuckled, attempting humor, but his laughter rang hollow. Mia shook her head, eyes wide and serious.
"No, not him." Mia's voice was barely audible now. "The thing in the hallway, it finds you."
Possessed vending machines? Jason felt uneasy. The shadows deepened. The light flickered. Jason's gaze was drawn to the door.
The door creaked open. Mia and Jason gasped. The shadows shifted.
Jason's breath caught. "Did you see that?" he whispered.
Mia, eyes fixed on the doorway, didn't answer. At the edge of the light stood a shadow. The lights went out, plunging the room into darkness. Everything went black. Just like that. Total darkness. Jason could hear his own heart thump, thump, thump. He and Mia scraped their chairs back, moving away from the open door. The classroom door had slammed shut, all by itself. Gap 2S. It was in the room. The slam of the door reverberated through the room, a jarring punctuation mark to the suffocating silence that followed. Jason's heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the sudden, overwhelming darkness. He could taste fear, metallic and sharp, at the back of his throat.
"We have to get out of here." Mia's voice, sharp and high with panic, cut through the darkness.
Jason didn't need to be told twice. He fumbled for her hand, his fingers closing around hers in a reassuring grip. Together they stumbled towards the door, their limbs heavy and uncoordinated in the pitch black. Lightning flashed outside, briefly illuminating the hallway beyond the classroom door. The flickering light revealed walls plastered with faded posters and student artwork. The mundane now rendered grotesque and menacing in the storm's intermittent glare. Jason fumbled with the doorknob, his hand slick with sweat. The metal was ice cold against his palm. He threw his weight against the door, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if an unseen force held it shut, a silent guardian barring their escape.
"It's locked."
Jason's voice was tight with panic. He threw himself against the door again, but it wouldn't give. Despair clawed at his mind.
"The window."
Mia grabbed his arm. It was a way out. Jason scrambled back. He cursed as pain shot up his leg. Lightning illuminated the hallway. The shadows stretched across the floor. It was closer now. "Run!" Jason didn't hesitate. He grabbed Mia's hand and they raced down the hallway. The shadow pursued them. The hallway stretched before them, illuminated by sporadic flashes of lightning. Jason's lungs burned, but he didn't dare slow down. He felt the shadow's presence, a wave of cold dread. Lockers reflected the lightning in distorted flashes. The shadow glided, defying gravity, gaining on them. Jason risked a glance over his shoulder. His blood turned to ice. The shadow was no longer shapeless. It had taken on a humanoid form, tall and emaciated. The most terrifying detail was the absence of a face. There was only darkness, a void sucking the light. A high-pitched whine echoed, emanating from the shadow. It spoke of ancient evils, of a darkness that hungered. It craved their very essence. The hallway stretched before them, illuminated by sporadic flashes of lightning. Jason's lungs burned, but he didn't dare slow down. He felt the shadow's presence, a wave of cold dread. Lockers reflected the lightning in distorted flashes. The shadow glided, defying gravity, gaining on them. Jason risked a glance over his shoulder. His blood turned to ice. The shadow was no longer shapeless. It had taken on a humanoid form, tall and emaciated. The most terrifying detail was the absence of a face. There was only darkness, a void sucking the light. A high-pitched whine echoed, emanating from the shadow. It spoke of ancient evils, of a darkness that hungered. It craved their very essence. The hallway stretched before them, illuminated by sporadic flashes of lightning. Jason's lungs burned, but he didn't dare slow down. He felt the shadow's presence, a wave of cold dread. Lockers reflected the lightning in distorted flashes. The shadow glided, defying gravity, gaining on them. Jason risked a glance over his shoulder. His blood turned to ice. The shadow was no longer shapeless. It had taken on a humanoid form, tall and emaciated. The most terrifying detail was the absence of a face. There was only darkness, a void sucking the light. A high-pitched whine echoed, emanating from the shadow. It spoke of ancient evils, of a darkness that hungered. It craved their very essence. Mia stumbled beside him, her breath ragged. They couldn't outrun it. Jason spotted a door ajar, light spilling out. Hope flared. He steered Mia towards it, their hands clasped tightly. They burst through the door and slammed it shut. Jason threw his weight against the door as Mia fumbled with the lock. The shadow slammed against the door, jarring them. They were trapped, cornered, with a flimsy door and a flickering light bulb.
Jason leaned against the door, his chest heaving. The air hung heavy with a metallic scent.
Mia secured the deadbolt. Dizziness washed over her. They were safe for now. But the shadow, it was still out there. The man sat calmly, his gaze fixed, sending a shiver down Mia's spine. His wrinkled face spoke of years, but his eyes held sharp intelligence.
He wore the school janitor's uniform. His name tag read, Mr. Graves. This was the man from the stories, the one who knew the school's secrets. S3, as Mr. Graves, you saw it. Mr. Graves' voice was deep and unsettling. It wasn't a question, but a statement of fact. He knew about the shadow. He had been expecting them.
What is it?
Jason's voice, sharp with terror, broke the silence. He stepped forward, eyes darting between Mr. Graves and the door. Mr. Graves leaned back, shadows playing on his face. S3, as Mr. Graves, something old, something that never belonged. He gestured to the monitors. Mia stepped closer, her breath catching.
Shadows moved across the screens. They seemed more menacing. You knew, you didn't tell anyone.
Mia's voice was a whisper. She couldn't believe Mr. Graves had known.